Hi everybody, it's March 20th already, and March Madness has started. In fact, Wisconsin was playing today and they were up by about 9-10 points with a few minutes left, and sound like they're gonna move up to the next level. And I filled out a chart, a bracket, and I'm usually pretty good about it. About a 75% success rate. Of course, the early rounds are pretty easy. You got the best team seeded against the worst team. It's just how it works. But the middle teams, two of the middle teams can be very competitive. So, some of them are easy and some of them are, you got to do a little research. And I find that to be fun. I think I hate to say it, but I think this year is maybe the last really good tournament, in that they changed the rules and made things more professional among these amateur athletes, in that they can get some money for their service. And you find out that because the money aspect goes into it, and they say, oh my God, $3 billion is being gambled every weekend on this stuff. It's just crazy. So what happens is the bigger schools with the bigger budgets find a way to get the better players, and they can give them better incentives, and it really changes the whole game from what is like pure athleticism and amateurism and the love of the game into something that these are like little pro athletes now, and the game does turn on that basis. So maybe this is the last really good tournament ever, but man, I enjoy them. I really do. So we got good news versus our health, and that's a blessing. Judy was in for her checkups, and she got a little thing with too much protein in her kidneys or something. It shows up in urine tests, and it's nothing to worry about yet, but they're going to retest her in about 3 or 6 months, and just keep an eye on it. It could be just tied to her general metabolism. Everything else is clear. My God, she's springing around here. She's got a lot of energy and doing real well. As far as me, we got new projects. That's the thing. So much was taken away from us in the last year. Our travel plans. We used to have a TJ over every weekday and once every week in the mornings. And she just couldn't keep up with them for a long time. And now, but anyway, so that was gone, and other things were gone, and here we are. So we're trying to set up some new goals, and look at her, she's making a shed. We went ahead and bought one, and they're gonna have it dropped off here. They're made by the Amish, and we got a really nice one. It's just real cool. It turns out it's about 10 by 10 and about 10 feet tall, with a slanted roof that's made out of metal. All the other components are just wonderfully quality throughout. Even the floor is that composite wood stuff, and it's got 2 front doors that open up, swing open, and side windows, so you get a cross ventilation. What we're gonna do is equip that thing with furniture. In fact, we picked it out already. A patio set, they call it. It's a couch, 72 inches long, so you stretch out and have my little nap out there. And then these are wicker with cushions, and then there's they call it an occasional coffee table kind of thing. And boy, we're just excited about that. The actual shed is going to come in about 3 weeks, and the furniture we're going to slowly we got to put it together and all that. And then we're putting in a rug, and we're going to paint the interior. We got a lot of house paint from our paint job in the house here, so we're going to kind of match the colors. It'll be kind of cool. And boy, that's exciting. And we're not able to keep up with going out on the boat. She doesn't really want to, and it's just there's a great amount of physical work on both ends when you splash the boat and when you pull her out, and then you got to put the cover on. You got all kinds of things. It's a good half hour of hard work on both ends, and quite frankly, it's a little beyond us. And why struggle? It's nice though. We used to just splash the boat and go once or twice around the lake, and then we would find this little bay we have and pull in there, anchor the boat, jump in off the swim ladder, and we would float around with noodles for a good hour or more and just really enjoy everything. And then it come time for lunch, we crawl up onto it. We have a ladder to get in, and I bought a special one that's a little easier for older duffers. So we crawl out into the boat, and then she always had a picnic lunch packed. We had the bimini up, and we were just enjoying it, and the radio playing, and she would take a nap, and gosh, it was just really a wonderful thing. And we used to take all the friends out, and anybody who'd been out there had a wonderful time. And I always said to Judy, I says, this is the best thing we can give to somebody, is a day out on the lake. And most people just loved it to pieces. Anyway, so everybody we knew was probably out there once or more. And it's time to let it go. And, I got everything all tweaked out, and I ran an ad in Craigslist and a couple other places, and we got a lot of response. In fact, tomorrow, actually, a guy's coming over. He says he's going to buy it, and I hope he does. And we're letting it go at a very, very modest price because it's just, I can't tell you, it'll be nice to see it gone. Because this selling stuff through these is it's a lot of pressure. So on top of that, we're getting the shed, we're getting rid of the boat, and we're getting rid of one of our cars. That's the Solara, Judy's car. And gosh, there was something happen with it where the dashboard light went on. Innocent enough, well, it was a check engine. We ran the diagnostics with Don, and he's like, geez, this is the worst you could have. It was the catalytic converter. Now, there's ways to get around that. Luckily, we had the car emission tested, and it's got it's registered. So we got like a year, if we kept it like a year and a half. Before that, you got 2 years, and then we'd have to have it retested, and of course it would fail. And then you got to fix it or pay $1,100. Or it was like anybody who buy that car would have to register it immediately and face the music there. Don, our mechanic, said it's a $1,700 job or $1,900. Because you got to buy a OEM, or original equipment, Toyota pipe from front to back, the whole thing. And he says it's expensive. If you want to go some other way, there's guys who will cut and paste all this junk in there. It might last you a year, it might last you 2 weeks. He says it's just not the way he would do it. So we agreed with him, and we put it off, which is nice. Now, it comes time where we thought about, let's trade it in and get something new. So I went to work, I'm, like around the clock searching for the optimal car. And I had it boiled down to 3 or 4, and I even bought a subscription to Consumer Reports, which has recommendations, and they give you an expert, independent analysis of cars. It's just amazing. And they road test them. They keep them for a year sometimes, and they can give you the story of how it lasted and so forth. And they do a full road test on their own track. They run these cars to make sure. And of course, there's the crash safety, crash tests, and everything. They have all kinds of information on just about everything as far as reliability and customer satisfaction and 100 other things. Well, it turns out there's somehow like about 250 car nameplates out there. Out of which I think I think they only really recommend maybe 25 models. And that's over a period of different years too. They look back and forth among the years, and they recommend. And mostly it was Toyotas recommended, and of course Hondas. And one of my favorite cars was a Toyota Avalon. I drive one now, and the new ones from 17, 18, 19, and 20, they eventually stopped making them in 22. But you look at these, they're all highly recommended. And you can buy let's say a 2019 for $20,000 or so. New, they're like almost 50. And and they have, a few miles on them, 20, 30,000 miles on them. And boy, that was the way I was looking. And well, then I got in my head, electric cars. You get a $4,000 tax rebate. It's a little tricky, and not all of them have it. You got to really find out which ones do. They have to be priced out less than $25,000 for to be eligible, and other stipulations. And then you have to buy it through a dealership then, and they will accept that, and you assign your rebate to the dealership. That way they can take it right off the price of the car. Otherwise, you'd have to wait for your taxes to be done, and you'd gotta be earning a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes in order for that $4,000 to mean something to you. It's not what they call refundable. Like in our case, we have zero tax bill, so we would just be wasting that $4,000. And I stopped looking like that because I didn't understand. And then I found out that yes, you can still get it with this dealer transfer of it, and the dealer has to do it, and they have to have an IRS portal. It's complicated, but so I started looking again. I also got hot on a couple other cars. And gosh, those Teslas are really nice, and I really like them. And with many of them do have that $4,000 rebate. You could buy one in the high teens with moderate low miles, and they are sweet. But with all the politic involved, we just didn't we just couldn't pull the trigger on that. And now they're even cheaper than they were. I've kind of put the Tesla on the back burner, although God, they're nice. Then I started looking, and there's something called a Polestar. I never even heard of it before. I don't even know who makes it. They only got a dozen dealerships around the country. Polestar, and you can snag one. 2-3-year-old one. They're really, really deluxe cars. They sell for $60,000 new. And a 2 or 3-year-old one with some miles on it, even 30,000 miles, you could snag it for $26,000, $27,000. However, and this is the same thing I found, you can talk to a dealer and say, can you adjust the price down to $25,000? Because then if it's a one-owner car and it's a lot of other things, mostly made in America, then I would qualify for $4,000 off. But it's hard to even talk to anybody nowadays. Everything's email, and it's just really hard to talk to anybody. But I got onto a car. I looked at the most favorable EVs around, and sure enough, a Volkswagen had one. It's called an ID.4 Pro. And it is more like a kind of a SUV style thing, hatchback-ish thing, and it is nice though. And we thought, I really didn't want to drive something like that, but I got surprised that this thing is really got good lines and it's very, very pretty. Great interior, that's my thing. I saw a lot of cars that I could have bought, and believe it or not, and they held up because black on black interior with a black exterior, who needs it? And most of the more elegant cars, like I also had on Lexus for certain years and models, no rebate ever, and but the more upscale the car, the more drab the colors. They get white, black, and silver. Most of them, you never see any real good color in these upscale cars. However, that's what makes that Tesla very attractive. And some of these other cars, and I would buy. I was real close to popping for a Avalon. And gosh, they would be, by the time you're done with it, everybody adds it back in these closing costs, it would be, $25,000 up to $28,000. Gosh, that's a lot to put out for a used car. Well, long and short of it is, I was, bouncing around, and I had all these searches going, and every day I'd read my email. I had 10 new cars to look at and either, get. And I made a list of the ones that were possible and the ones that forget about them. So I was really into this for 8 hours a day for a couple, 3 weeks now. And gosh, I should just stop because it's really a lot. Pressure to try to get the right thing. And I came across this car on one of my searches, and it was a 2-year-old car, but it only had 4,000 miles on it, and it was marked up at about $26,900. And I got through to them, and I says, would you be willing to adjust the price down to $2,500 so I could be eligible for a tax rebate of $4,000. Thus, it brings that car down to like $21,000. And then we said, we want to trade in Judy's car, which I think I told you is just a problem. It's a bad problem because it's such a nice car. But anybody who buys it has got this huge looming bill ahead of them. And what am I, it's worth $4,000. And with that $1,700, maybe I'd get $2,000 for it. I thought, well, we'll just trade it in and leave it go. And sure enough, this company offered us $1,500 for it. And that pretty much took care of all the closing costs. So we're getting this like brand new car. It's sweet. It's all electric and dual motors. You gotta see it. It's fully loaded. They sell the new ones. Well, now in the mid 40s, I saw one that was 50. So they're really nice cars, and it's like VW's trying to get into the deluxe car again. So we got one, and we talked to the guy, and he agreed to looked at our car, our information on our car, and in principle, we wrote up a proposal, and we're going up there tomorrow to pick up our new car and leave off Shanae, Judy Solara. She's staying there. And we're excited about that because all this stuff, everything's got to should always be going forward. It's a lot of bother for me and strain, but I think we're going to have a really nice situation. It's all electric. I'm getting a $400 charger with the deal. He's just like threw it in. I didn't try to squirrel around on price too much. We come to this and I agreed to it. And I probably could have squeezed another $500 out of the deal. And it didn't. I was happy he's taking our car. He's going to finish the thing. And then I says, well, what about a charger? I says, he says, you got to get a charger for it. And he says, I'll check with our people in the shop. And sure enough, they had one. It's a 3-stage charger. He says it's worth $400. He said, Christmas came early this year. I'm throw it in. And I thought, sometimes you play nice things happen. So that's there. So we're going to have to get an electrician to tie it in. We already have 240 service in our garage, so they just really need to patch into that, and we got a charger then. And there's also a network of chargers all over the place now. And so we're getting this thing, and I'm real excited. It's got a dual sunroof. It's got the interior is like a two-tone thing, and it's pretty nice car all in all. And German cars. Kathy had a Passat, and that thing drove like a Mercedes. It was such a sweet car, and that's what you hear about this thing. Of course, on Consumer Reports, they did that road test on it. They show you a video, about a 6-minute video of they're running through the paces with their car, and they had a couple things of concern that they had said. They had all this high-tech screenage, and they said it's kind of cumbersome the way they did it, and it would be better if they didn't do it that way, and so forth. But that's a minor matter compared to all the performance aspects of this car. Is real nice. We get about 250-mile range on a charge, and it takes about 8 hours to charge on one of the better chargers. And we're going to have a charger in our garage, so we'll keep the thing pretty fully charged. And across the country, Tesla put in like 58,000 of these charging stations, and you got to get the app to where they are, and then you get an adapter, and it'll plug right into that. So if you were on a road, you just need to know where these things are and plug in. And within about a half hour, the car's topped off, So that's our report on everything we're going on, and it's all coming through for us. It's kind of a lot to process. But gosh, in about a month from now, in a few days, we're going to have a new car. We're going to get rid of the boat. I think I mentioned that. And also, we're going to have a cool shed in the backyard. And that's where it's like, for us, it's going to be like the boat. Instead, I don't have to launch it. I don't have to put gasoline in it. All that I have to do is going out to the patio, and we got this wonderful thing. We'll have our little picnic lunches, and that's our goal. So anyway, I'll sign off now. Let you know we're doing pretty good, and we're all blessed, and lots of other good things have been happening, so it's all in all really nice. All right, bye for now. Take care.